We have Sujata ma'am here. So let me, with your permission, let me invite Ms. Sujata Madhav Chandran, who is the Head Competency Development, COIN, and Partner Ecosystem Data Services, TCS and AA Unit, who is the moderator for the panel discussion on the topic being you in technology, business and purpose. So ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, Varun. I just need to check the audio quality.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, it is.
So very good evening to everybody and a good morning to Soumya. We'll talk about Soumya and how early she's joined this session. Thank you for this invitation. Kerala Startup Mission and TCS go a long way together, and it has been both a matter of immense pride to see the way Kerala Startup Mission has shaped up over the years, and also a privilege to be partnering with you in this journey. Today from TCS, amongst the five of us, we come from diverse work background, so to speak. You will find out about it. Each of us handles a different portfolio. And amongst the five of us, I was just calculating, we bring to this discussion 125 person years of experience. To all the youngsters in the audience, if you're getting worried that will we be able to talk to you and address the concerns that you have, well, listen on, we are going to try our best. The main reason why we are here is also because giving back to the community and to the academia is something which is part of our DNA. That's a purpose which runs throughout every action that we do, every project, every engagement. So thank you once again to the organizers for this invitation, and let us start the discussion on the topic being you in technology, business, and purpose. You heard from Varun, what is my portfolio? I'm not sure if you understood all of it, but let me pick up two important things and why I'm here. Part of my work is to continuously, I'm part of the TCS Analytics and Insights unit. All of you are students of technology. I'm sure if you have picked up any study which talks about the latest technologies, the trending technologies, you will find data and analytics right on top. So that is the team I'm part of. And my role includes continuously scanning and ensuring that the entire team, the large team, keeps itself updated, that we are continuously learning new technologies and applying it, because that's the only way we'll be able to deliver the customers what they want. Immediately before this, the role I had, I like to call it as an entrepreneur within the company. So an entrepreneur, because I was leading the engineering for developing accelerators. You can also call it products within the unit. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite Anita next to talk to you, because you just heard from Varun about what are the facilities that Kerala Startup Mission is giving for incubation and incubators. Now, listen to this from Anita. Anita Nanadikar, Vice President, she heads the incubation function of TCS Research and Innovation Wing. TCS, and I'm sure all of you know, we are the world's largest IT service company. The TCS Research and Innovation is the brain behind the success. The co-innovation, the way TCS has been able to fuel it, is something you will hear from Anita. But before that, I should also tell you, she's an industry veteran. She has spent more than 35 years in TCS and in the industry. And as head of the TCS Research and Innovation incubation function, she is responsible for identifying, building emerging businesses on new technologies and business models. So the TCS incubation also includes a rapid innovation lab. Now you will be very interested to know about this, because this is where customers, TCS innovators, experts, as well as our partners come together to rapidly convert innovative ideas into disruptive innovation. Anita, if I can start by asking you to tell the audience, what are the focus areas for TCS Incubation Labs?
Yeah, thank you, Sujata. Thank you for all the introduction, and a big thank you to Kerala Startup Mission. All of us are really excited to be here, and I in particular, because as Sujata said, we have our own incubation lab, which collaborates very frequently with Kerala Startup Mission and the ecosystem Kerala Startup Mission has set up in Kerala. This lab is based in Trivandrum, and some of you who participated in the hackathon would have interacted with the lab mentors like Rishmi, Robin, and others. So we have a very soft corner for Kerala Startup Mission, as well as the whole ecosystem around which they have set up. So thank you. It's a big honor to be here. Now coming to Sujata's question, see what we do in incubation is I think everyone knows what incubation is. So we are building a lot of very exciting emerging businesses for TCS. But TCS is a large organization, and it is all about scale. So largely the businesses we set up are very ambitious kind of goals and targets. So for example, we take entry level ideas which are going to scale to at least 100 million kind of business in a certain finite time. I mean, that is the first milestone, of course. Then we expect them to create, trillions and billions of dollars, right? So that is number one. Now, how it is done is that, like Varun described so beautifully, we have an entire ecosystem set up. Right? We have a rapid prototyping lab, which is very much there in Kerala and Trivandrum. We have a global set of innovation labs, which does research, which does innovation. All of them, each lab does that. And then the whole network of labs. Then we have a coin or a co-innovation ecosystem, which consists of startups and partners and so on and so forth. We also have now started something which we call as spaceports, which are sitting in all our global geographies, which are basically the place where customers walk in, very much like they walk in into our Rapid Proto lab here. And each of them have a Rapid Proto element and things which Robin is mentoring and monitoring as the primary lab, which is sitting as the hub. So these are the facilities which we have. And as Sujata rightly pointed out, what is it without, I mean, we believe in building business with new and emerging tech. So we have everything, right? All the cutting edge tech is including maker labs are available to people who come with new ideas. They get a set of mentors who are advising them globally on industry expertise. We provide a venture building kind of model. So the innovators who come with ideas at any point, first of all, are selected very carefully. The ideas are shaped. Adjacencies to the ideas are pointed out if the innovator can expand the business. And then they're given a startup kind of venture building team, which consists of mixed skills. So we have people with business skills, people with technology skills, people with rapid prototyping and those kind of skills, architecture skills, with the whole idea of trying to make that idea into $1 billion business very fast. And that's what we do. So Sujata, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, Anita, you did. And as you were speaking, I realized this is an idea so close to your heart, because you have been nurturing seeds of the future, green ones that I know of, and also gray ones. So this is really an example of ideas to innovation. And how can our audience and the winners of Hackathon participate in it? Maybe we'll cover towards the end of this session.
Sure.
So now I am going to request Vrinda to share her thoughts next. But let me tell you a little bit about Vrinda Rani. She has been with TCS for close to 20 years now. And she's a person, I mean, if anybody at any level wants to know something about the organization, ask Vrinda. She works she's been in different roles, both in business and HR. These 20 years have been spent across 5 cities when I counted last, maybe it is more. Now, what is very interesting is that Vrinda in her current role is heading leadership assessment in TCS, which means she works towards leadership development, specifically how to bring more women into leadership. So, there are a lot of interesting things about Vrinda. I'm going to ask this to her. I don't know why, but everybody calls her Iron Lady, whether she really does iron pumps. But what I'm going to start off by asking is that, Vrinda, we have a very young audience today, okay, who are actually going to set out and they are starting out on their career. So, to a young woman who's going to start pursuing a career, based on everything that you have seen in the world, in the industry, in your own life, is there something that you want to warn them about the common pitfalls, the most common mistakes to avoid?
Thank you, Sujata. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me here. I want to give it a positive spin. In fact, there's no pitfall as such. It's all opportunity all along. This entire discussion has been titled and themed around being yourself. As long as you know what you want to become, as youngsters, if you have clarity around what you want to be, I guess that's what matters. So be here, being you is very, very important. Having said that, many times when we step into the organization, we have a lot of anxieties. How is it that we would voice ourselves, create a personal brand for ourselves? How is it that we survive in probably a space which is unknown? To them, I would say the fact that you've decided to step in and take this forward is a very big move. Be unique, define your path, find both your voice and space. When I say that, it's very important that you know what you want to become and clearly carve out the opportunities that you want to have for yourself so you get to experience where you want to be. The other aspect that I have heard many people ask me about is a glass ceiling. So the glass ceiling in organization, whether it is a myth or a reality, it does not actually matter. What is important for you as people who are starting off their careers is to have clarity, is to have the conviction and a plan of action in terms of what you want to do with yourself. Technology, like Anita was saying, and the kind of opportunities that you have will all stay good if it is part and parcel of your passion. Then it will really carve the path out for you. Remember, career begins where passion and meaning sustains. So this is what I want to tell the young people. Don't be afraid, be yourself, become what you can be and what you aspire to be. Step into your strength and prove yourself. That's from me, Sujata. Hope I've answered those questions.
Yes. Thank you, Indra. Very valuable advice. And I think that goes for everybody at every age. Now, did you think that a technology company such as TCS has one career path, or rather the best path to success or the most often taken route is to join TCS as a developer? Well, let me start by telling you there are very many career paths in TCS. And so it would be in the industry. So we have youngsters joining in as developers, as designers, as analysts, and the diversity which is there in your career options include, you could definitely take up the delivery of large projects. You could specialize in a particular customer domain and become an expert in that. You can choose to specialize as in a technology and be an architect in that. You can go on to lead a business group. You can go on to create and be a product manager and head a group which consists of such products. And then, of course, you can excel in sales. You can move into consulting. You can work in research and innovation. You just heard from Anita. And then there are the corporate functions. I think there are even more. I may be missing some. And with this, I'm going to introduce the next panelist, Soumya Rajagopalan, Vice President and Head of Travel and Transportation Business Unit of TCS for Americas. Soumya has joined us. It is early in the morning in US. Thank you for joining in. 28 years of total industry experience with a quarter of a century in TCS. This has been a remarkable journey of climbing the step methodically and going on to head a business unit in America. So Soumya, before we start, a little bit about what is the career path in a technology company like TCS that led you to the top?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much, Sujata, for giving me an opportunity to talk. Again, thank you, Kerala Mission, as well. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Great. So it's truly exciting to be, talking to so many women here, potentially future billionaires, trillionaires, who knows, right? But I just wanted to say that, in TCS, I mean, people would be surprised. I started as a management. I did my master's in econometrics. And I started as a management consultant in TCS. So I used to work for an industrial market research company. And TCS offered me a job. And, who would have thought that, such things would exist in a technology company or management consultant? But there are very clear paths. There are consulting jobs within TCS where you could become you could be a subject matter expert in a particular domain or in a particular technology, or you could be a consulting person consulting on supply chain. It could be on various facets that are there that are key to any technology project. So that is one thing. I mean, you can start as a business analyst, which is how I started. This is my 20th year in the US. I came in
Soumya, your audio is breaking. Is it only for me?
No, it is. And she's frozen as well.
Yes.
Okay. Probably some issue with the connection.
Yeah.
We'll just wait a moment. I think just give another few seconds. We'll just wait for, yes, to all the audience, I think there's a problem with the audio connection at Soumya's end. Okay, probably she is going to join back. She must be switching the connection. So to keep the discussion on, let me move on to Komal. Welcome, Komal, and Komal Rana. Another, did you read the title? I'm sure all of you want to meet her because she heads the entrepreneurship program of TCS's Global CSR. I started the discussion by telling you about how being purpose-driven is part of every action that we do. And you are going to hear more about it from Komal, but let me introduce her. Soumya got dropped, but just, Soumya was telling you about the diverse career paths from entry level in TCS, and now you should meet Komal because she has more than 20 years of experience as a development professional. Yes, another economist on today's panel, and she's been working on areas related to women empowerment, diversity, and entrepreneurship. So Komal, let me start by asking you, this term inclusive development, is it only for the governments or is there any relevance of it in private enterprise?
Thank you, Sujata, and thank you, Kerala Startup Mission, for this opportunity. I'm really privileged to be here. Inclusive development or inclusive growth, as the name suggests, in simple words, it means development for all. So inclusive development consists of ensuring that all the marginalized and excluded groups are stakeholders in the development process. Development cannot effectively reduce poverty or social inequities unless all groups contribute to the creation of opportunities, share the benefits of development, and participate in decision making. The goal of inclusive development is to achieve an inclusive society, able to accommodate differences and to value diversity. To quote Mr. S. Ramadorai, who was a CEO at one point in TCS, he once said that the company is as good as the society it belongs to. So if the society is fragmented, how can the company survive? Inclusion in business is necessary for the social and economic fabric to be strong. It is important for the prosperity of the business as it brings in different perspectives. It helps the organization become more progressive and creates synergies which help them create better results and become more productive. It is crucial that the benefits of growth of business is shared equally by all classes in a fair and just manner. I would say knowledge, access, and control should be given to everyone. Unless all sections of society benefit from faster and more economic growth, it can lead to social unrest. Hence, the purpose of growth must be for the overall benefit of the society. Does it answer your question?
Yes,
Sujata?
yes, it does. It does, Komal, and that brings me to another very important thought, which we must highlight, particularly being part of the Tata Group, on the value of ethics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Particularly for the youngsters, you should remember ethics and value. That is something which all of us have been taught by our parents, and that's something we owe to the society.
Sure. Thank you.
Soumya, I can see you are back. You had a bad connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could, we were speaking. You were telling us about the journey, and then you got dropped.
Yeah.
You
so all that I think all that I would say, Sujata, is there are plenty of paths available that TCS has to offer. I mean, I think this panelist itself is a classic example of the diverse talent and the skills and the paths that TCS has, right? I mean, I would say that. And if you consider, I mean, you can be in technology, you can be in domain. There are plenty of paths available. You can be a managerial path as well. So I think, and again, innovation is another thing that Anita's team is, focusing on. I think there are plenty of paths. That's what I wanted to conclude here.
So if you had to answer this to a 23-year-old, I chose the number carefully, to a 23-year-old young entrepreneur starting out, just starting out, and if the question to you is that, should I learn technology, should I learn domain, what would you answer? I know you have earned the label of being a trusted business advisor, having worked on multiple transformation projects. So given that background, so today, after 23 years, I want to be like you. So what should I work on?
Absolutely. See, I think in order for one to succeed, one should go beyond right? It's not domain or technology. You have to make both happen, technology and domain. They are twins. They cannot be separated. So domain is important because unless you know the domain, you will not be able to bring in solutions for that particular industry or the customers. That is very key, right? So you have to go deeper in that as well. Unless you understand the layers of business, you definitely cannot connect purposefully. This is critical irrespective of which path you take in your career, be it in IT, entrepreneurship, marketing, anything for that matter. You need to understand domain, equally important. Equally important is technology, because the future is technology driven. I wanted to say one thing. Today, businesses are driven by technology. Many of the, I'm in the travel, transportation, hospitality sector. Many of my customers, say, be it large airlines, they are saying they want to be a tech company servicing the travel industry. So that's the path that the world is going towards. Uber has changed everything. Airbnb has changed everything, right? How a technology company is able to provide, car hiring, hiring facility, right? I mean, overnight things change for us with Uber, Ola, all of you, I'm sure will be able to relate to. So, but the business solutions that you will envision will be implemented through technology, be it bots, virtual reality, deep learning, blockchain. There's no future without technology. However, to succeed, what you need is a right balance. That is the most, we call it as a T factor in TCS. Okay, the thing is, a deeper knowledge in something while a wider perspective of many. So choose your line, have clarity, but ensure that you're in continuous learning mode on both domain and technology. They are changing so rapidly. I mean, imagine in the last 3 years, how much technology has changed and enabled so many businesses to offer newer business models itself, right? I mean, today, a technology is enabled in the pandemic world. I'm not even getting into a store to go pick up stuff. I'm going into their driveway, curbside pickup, right? Technology is enabling that. So I would say you need to have that right balance. It's very, very important. Just ensure where you want to be, what you want to do, go deeper in that. That is where you have to excel wherever you are. You know, don't keep jumping from here and there. That's all I would say, Sujata.
Yes, I think that's a very important message for everybody on this call. Stay focused. Anita, I want to go back to you. And, Soumya spoke about the innovation factor. And you have been not only an innovator yourself, but every year you participate to judge the most innovative ideas from the large pool of 450,000 people in TCS, and then the selected entries at the Tata Group level. So from your viewpoint, if you had to share with us, what is the top criteria that you look for when you pick up the best?
Yeah, thank you, Sujata. Very nice question. In fact, I was just on the jury of our annual Innovista, as it's called, our innovation contest, where thousands of teams participate. Believe me, it's really tough to pick the best idea because they are so innovative, and we have a hard time. But if I have to answer your question, see, there are two things, and like Soumya very beautifully pointed out, you have to look at both sides of an idea. One is you have to look at how novel it is, how unique it is. And what I personally look at is whether it is solving really a need or an unmet need in the market, or is it trying to do something which no one has even thought out, right? So the novelty and uniqueness is very much important, right? The second thing is because it is innovation and because it has to be impactful. It is not just an idea, it is not just research. We have to see whether what is going to be the potential impact and what is if it is in a particular stage. So for example, our innovation contest takes ideas at different stages, right? So it could be just a early stage idea, which is in research. It could be something which is being piloted. It could be something which has been implemented. And at various stages, you have added criteria, right? So novelty and uniqueness, because it's a innovation competition, is an common theme, but the impact and what is the value it is generating, that idea is generating, is also an equally important theme, right? So for example, if someone has worked out an idea which is suppose it's making a fuel from thin air, okay, just giving an idea, and this is not, by the way, something out of my head. This is something which we got as an idea which someone had actually given. Now, obviously, this is an extremely unique and a very novel idea, right? But then number one is, can it be productionized? What are the steps taken to pilot it? What is the potential? Obviously, it's a huge impact, but is the market, the money you're sinking in to make that idea, is it going to be that easy to build it? What has it proven so far? Has anyone really, or the person who has presented the idea, or the team presenting it, have they really shown that a prototype works of this concept, right? And then what are the steps they have taken to take it to market? Is it that they have already made millions of dollars in the first few pilots? Which markets are they going after? Are those markets ready for that idea? So it's a whole lot of factors. So uniqueness of the idea along with the business impact it has already created and what it is going to potentially create. These are the two main criteria, if I have to summarize.
Thank you, Anita. Vrinda, I want to go back to you because, you are such a colorful person, if I may say so, in all positive terms. You are into sports, you're into cooking, you're into singing. You have two two-legged kids and so many four-legged kids, and then the farming and everything else that goes on in your farm. So tell me one thing, career is a serious business. Our topic starts by saying being you. Is it possible to be really you without inhibition at work?
Thank you. I think even the background that I have is very colorful. It just represents the energy that we see in TCS. So to answer your question, yes, career is indeed a very serious business. And we should be very, very confident to be able to express ourselves. To start there, I guess you got to know yourself. You got to befriend yourself. You got to embrace your uniqueness. You need to have a positive brand, a brand which tells you what is it that you believe in, what are the experiences that you would like to build around you, right? So it's like when you're in a relationship with a significant other or the spouse, why do you give suggestions? Why do you compliment? It's because you want the whole relationship to become beautiful and experience the best and take the best. Similarly, in an organization, that is how it is. You need to learn to really speak up. And let me tell you, the corporate culture very carefully falls along this layer. So we had a diversity research that we did in TCS, and when we say TCS, it's like many. The universe is 5,000 people, and the women that we are talking about is probably 150,000 plus. So that's how big the universe is. And when we did this, there was clearly an indication that the power of just being able to voice your opinion is so intense that it allows you to bring 7 times more productivity and inspiration into what you do. So any progressive organization which believes in positive partnership, which believes in creating intentional inclusion, will always encourage people to speak up. And when there is this culture, it's very important that you also own up that responsibility, because if you can speak up and give out your views, there are other people also who have the right to do that. So that is when you become responsible to also listen and appreciate the different sets of things that are flowing in. And if we want to be innovative, which is definitely in our DNA, and today we're talking about not just innovation at our work level, but at scale, I guess we have to be very, very open and channelize these opinions and voices that we hear from our people. And you never should fear, because organizations always welcome this stand. So I hope I have answered, Sujata, what
yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Komal, let me go back to you. One of the very interesting things about the work you do is on the Tata Affirmative Action Project program. Without getting into the details of that, and then of course you also work on the Bridge IT, which is about encouraging young girls to get into science and technology field. But for today's discussion and to today's audience, if I take on the persona of somebody in the audience and I ask you that, look, Komal, I'm in my early 20s, and in all my actions, how do I build purpose? Or can I build purpose, or I leave it aside to do it when I'm 30?
Thank you, Sujata. See, I would like to begin with, again, a quote from founder Jamshedji Tata, who once said that it's in a free enterprise, the community is not just another stakeholder in the business, but is in fact the very purpose of its existence. So when I talk about myself, the purpose for me is about making a difference through business and technology to improve lives and livelihoods of the communities. Social good is as important as much as economic good, because if you don't have the social good, the social fabric would be fractured. And as we even heard a little earlier, that it's in the Tata DNA to have social good at the center of the stage. So purpose, people, and technology is not just about volunteering or employees, but when embedded in business, it makes a healthy environment for business at large, and it strengthens the stakeholder capital which is crucial for the existence of the business. Purpose in technology has become more integral and central to a lot of companies across industries. And the corporate social responsibility at TCS, we envision empowering people and communities. We are aiming to build equitable and inclusive pathways for women, youth, and marginalized groups by connecting them to newer digital opportunities. So, as you asked, what is it in for you? You would be able to contribute to this, so that you can define your purpose to enable change for the people and communities. I mean, you're young, you come with such bright minds and different ideas. I think uh, your age is just perfect for you to think what your purpose is, build on it, and contribute to the change that we would want to visualize.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Kamal. Soumya, I'm going to go back to you. And now this is something which everybody talks about you, that if there's something that you love more than your work, it is your team. Okay, for the moment, we will leave the boys at home and Rajnikant out of this. So, for someone who goes to great lengths to prepare home-cooked meals for the team, are you telling us that to succeed, and again, taking on the persona of an entrepreneur with an innovative idea, so is it better to be a team player or look to be an individual contributor? What works?
Yeah. See, one thing I totally believe in being a team player and team efforts. Because, you as an individual, you can only do so much, right? It is important that it's more important, especially in being an entrepreneur. There's no business without people. Okay, there's no business without a team. There's no business without a collaboration, because you have to bring in the entire ecosystem for you to thrive in the business itself. So you got to have, teams and partners that you have to collaborate with. I believe in that very, very strongly. That is one. Secondly, you also handpick your team, right? You should pick your team, people that are smarter than you. Okay, not people that will listen to you, people that will challenge you. You may be the entrepreneur, but as long as you have the forum to have people come and talk to you and challenge. When I say challenge, it's not about putting you down. It's challenging so that we are all on the right track. That's very important, right? Because we can go all over the place when an idea comes, right? So I believe one can only scale and win or succeed if we are a team player, because, I mean, there are so many things that are needed for a business to thrive. Research is the most important thing. You can't be doing research all the time and also run a business, right? You have to rely on people. So that is something that somebody else is going to give. I mean, in case of TCS has established the CTO organization, the research people like Anita, who have thought for us, who has gone and thought about what's next. What's the next decade going to be in the technology world? And started incubating ideas, bringing in startups, and they've been doing that research so that, they can create offerings for us to run the business, right? So, from that perspective, research is key. So you need someone for that. Also go beyond your line of business. Okay, it's a connected world today. Okay, new thinking comes only through new learning. So you got to understand the bigger picture and make sure that you reach out to people and partner with academic institutions, or like companies like corporates like TCS and so on. But the most important thing, I'm saying this because I have to cite one example. Protect your ideas. Ideas yours. That could be an individual contribution, right? Protect your ideas. I went for a career fair in Georgia Tech. I live in Atlanta. And many of the students like you are aspiring to become entrepreneurs. Many of them have become entrepreneurs. They run their own company websites or apps or so on. So I went for a career fair, was interviewing one of the potential candidates. So he was saying, I'm already a CEO and I'm running this and all that. So I asked, what is that you're doing? So immediately he was so smart. He said, first you have to sign an NDA for that, a non-disclosure agreement. That's how smart kids are these. I'm sure you guys are. So very important is protect your ideas. Even you may be a team player and all that, but if it is very, very unique and only a small set of people need to know, make sure that you have that protected. But most importantly, your individual contribution should be your uniqueness, your passion, your individuality that will motivate the team to give the best for you. Strengthen your individual strength, but be an inclusive player who can tap the capabilities of a larger team. So that is what will make us all successful. Sorry for a long answer, but I thought I should.
No, not long. It was, every word is very important for us to listen to. And that was a gem of an advice. Protect your idea. So I'm going to go back to Anita, but the question is not about research and innovation, and where I know this is the team which not only generates the maximum amount of patents, but also encourages others to do it. But Anita, the question is slightly different. Technology companies today, under the current global pandemic, are encouraging all their employees to work from home, right? I'm sitting in my house in Kochi and you are in Mumbai, and everybody is in different locations. Probably we are having this webinar on an electronic platform, so it makes very easy for all of us to get together. If it was in the Kerala Startup Mission office in Trivandrum, probably audience would have been leaner. But the question is, work from home, it requires a balance. There are some advocates, like I said, about the positivity, about the increase in productivity, and there are some different views also. So when do you think work from home works? And there is another question. Now, this is a little bit which goes back many, many years ago. Can you share with the audience, when did you first do work from home?
So let me answer the second question first. So work from home concepts now have become very normal, right? But there was a time where it was hardly prevalent, and that was like maybe even 30 years ago. There were no, I mean, while people will laugh now, but literally there were very few people with laptops. I mean, especially in our country, very, very few people with laptops. So at that point in time, I was the only one in working in a project. I mean, it so happened that there was a team, but one by one, because there was so much demand, for people to go with those particular skills, which were incidentally also very new technology skills, they were all put onto newer or different projects on site. And then, of course, the team wanted to go to new countries. So I said, fine, let them go. So it so happened that the work of 4 people had to be done by me, and I could have always opted to take more people. But I said, okay, let's take this as a challenge and find a different way of solving the problem. I said, let me put up a business case which said that if I do this alone and I work at home, will this be more kind of economically attractive, right, for TCS and the customer, right? And the customer happened to live very close to where I stay as well, right? And that was a customer project. So, well, I went to my boss, and my boss said, are you mad? This is not done, right? How will you do that, right? You don't even have a machine at home. How will it work, right? How will the whole thing work? I said, no, I'll work all that out. But do you think it's a good idea? He said, frankly speaking, this is, it will have to take the CEOs, and that time our CEO is to be called DYC, Deputy Chairman, Mr. Kohli, who everyone knows, founding father of the software industry in India. And of course, many regard him as the founding father, even globally, on certain concepts like offshoring, on-site, and global delivery. So Mr. Kohli's permission was required. And that way I was a very junior person in TCS. And so all of us are very much in awe of Mr. Kohli. So I said, fine, I will write a business case and please help me to take it to him. So my boss supported me and said, okay, what's the harm? You try it out. Okay, then we went to Mr. Kohli. He said, you'll have to face him alone. You'll have to convince him. Because I still feel it's a very, very idea which is likely to get rejected, but fine, I'm not going to stop you, right? So that was very nice of him. So fine, I went to Mr. Kohli shivering in my shoes because he was a very tough person. Everyone felt He was very stern. And but then he said yes. He said, "What do you want to do? Work from home?" Okay. I said, "That's it, no questions." He said, "No, you take the machine home." And it so happened that time I had worked in a hardware maker lab just before that. He said, "Take what you want, assemble it if you want to your specifications. Work from home. This is the first time we are trying it out. Fine, take it." So then I had to go and tell our, infrastructure team, so this is the machine I want. I actually made sure it had all the things I wanted. I assembled a few of it myself, put it together, and then, it was shipped home as a desktop, not a laptop, which I had configured to my needs. And then I worked more than a year. We got multiple projects from the same client, so I could actually have continued. But now coming to your first question, it requires enormous amount of discipline to work from home. There is a very thin line between work and home, and things kind of overlap. The time when I decided to work from home, also I had a very small child. It was a baby, and he wanted to play with me. He wanted to climb on my lap, do fun things with me. So what can you do, right? So but it so happened that if you need enormous discipline and kind of professionalism also to make sure that what work has to be done. So sometimes I have to end up getting up at 3 o'clock just to make sure I compensate and do. I set daily targets saying every day I have to finish this. And if you stick to that discipline, stick to your a professional approach, make sure that you enjoy the time with your family, and do that as well. If sometimes something interrupts you on the home front, you have to just compensate it, and that's how I think everyone is working now. It's become a normal. Sujata, I hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, perfectly. And what I loved was the first part that you said. You had the business case ready. And no manager has ever turned down a convincing business case, right? Somewhere I could see that smile. Okay, I'm going to go back to Vrinda and continue on what Anita said. We also have a question on a Q&A forum. So Vrinda, the question is that for work from home, do you need a gender balance at home? Are we doing anything about that? Are we only talking about diversity and inclusion at workplace? And how does that play on during the work from home scenario?
Sure, Sujata. See, gender balance is required, definitely. Somewhere, we are conditioned to believe as women that we need to work 3 times more to take care of our homes, while we are superstars at work and doing many things all at the same time. So progressive companies these days are thinking about policies which will enable this gender balance at home. We are all aware of the maternity leaves that women get, but why not parental leave, so that, even the men are eligible for such offs, and they can take up the joint responsibility, I would say, of taking care of kids, while maybe the women at home can do that, plus look after their career. So yes, to answer that question, gender balance is very essential, and it starts with home, and many companies these days are seeing to it that the policies are progressive enough and is creating that kind of ecosystem. Having said that, when you bring this to an organization perspective, gender balance, the opposite of that would be the gender gaps and the disparities, right? When we look at the organization. The advice that I have for these youngsters is, we don't have a funneling problem. I mean, if you look at the colleges, it's a 50-50, or rather a little more, and you would see a lot of women being extremely successful in STEM education. Having said that, that's the inflow that you have into the organization. So when you are trying to be you and become what you want to be, it's your near future that matters. And that is a fair ecosystem which will allow you to thrive only if you are clearly focused in terms of what you want to be. See, there is a lot of introspection that you need to do about what you want to become. Once you're very clear, I like what Soumya was mentioning, having a solution mindset, being very, vocal about what you feel, at the same time, confident and credible. It's very, very important. Ultimately, I would say it should be the performance that speaks for you. Performance that brings out your personal brand, not the gender. As long as that is very clear in the workspace, I guess we are all working peacefully, contributing to our aspirations and operating from where we all start up. Yeah. So that's what I would have to say, Sujata, on this question of gender imbalance at house and how it kind of translates at the workplace.
Thank you. So to the organizers, the hours is up. It is 7. Do you think we can take a couple of more questions, or would you like us to close the session? Varun, can we take a couple of more questions? Okay, there is one question which is talking about, what does it take for young girls to reach the top executive position? And I think each of us should, contribute our top 1 or 2 or 3 as would be. And I think we should do this in a round robin and close the session. I will go with curiosity. Stay curious. Never let that ingredient go out of your life. Keep looking for opportunities, keep pushing yourself up. Yes, life is not easy, but life is not easy for any achiever. It is important to have family support. I'm very thankful to the support which I have got from my family, and so would everybody who has reached any position worth reckoning in any industry. But it lies within you. Stay curious, grab opportunities, do not settle for mediocrity. Anita, your secret mantra, formula that you want to share?
I think you have to believe in yourself. My mantra is nothing is impossible. So if you set your mind to it and, solve the problems which come along, which they're bound to be problems, but you have to do the problem solving, right? And, most of us are pretty good at problem solving if we let ourselves, do that. But the most important thing is believe in you, in believing in yourself. That is the theme of today's talk also. And focus, right? So you have to focus, you have to persevere and believe in yourself above all, right? So then nothing is impossible.
Anita, I remember you had spoken this in another session, your 3 Ps.
Yes. So, yes, I mean, the 3 Ps are also, good kind of things to remember. So you have to be kind of passionate about what you're doing. As I said earlier, you have to be, professional on what you do. As I said,
that's a very important one. Yes.
Yes, you have to be
persevere,
very, and you have to, of course, persevere, because as I said, problems are there, and you have to persevere and make sure that they don't bog you down, but you rise on top, right? So that is the thing.
Thank you. Yeah. Komal, I mean, you've seen so much outside TCS and what it takes to bring about even that small piece of development. So what do you think are the top qualities to succeed for a young girl starting her career?
Definitely curiosity, confidence, and looking always, I mean, being always positive about whatever they're doing and confident about what they're doing. I think that is very important, no matter what age you are, especially these young people. So I think they need to be more and more confident about what they're doing. Yeah.
All right, and now I'll request Soumya. I mean, professionalism at the best at any time in any session, and someone who's always so willing to come in and contribute. So what is your mantra to succeed?
Sure, I think.
Okay, I think Soumya's connection is giving a bit of trouble. No worries. I'm sure she'll be back soon. Meanwhile, there is another question, Anita. Maybe I will ask you to answer this. So the question is talking about what is the role of standards in the adoption of technology. And the question is that do startups have an edge over their competition?
As in, is it two different questions or linked to standards?
No, it's the same question. So what is the role of standards in technology? Probably if you answer that, the second part will get answered.
Okay. So standards are important, and you know, if you have to link it with startups who are creating something new and something useful with value, right? You are in a very good position if you create a standard. Let me give you an example, right? So, for example, while everyone uses our phones, not many of us realize that there are companies who have built, you know, the standards on which the phones operate, right? For example, we had 2G, then we had 3G, we had 4G, and now, of course, 5G is coming out. The standards which are there are companies who have developed these standards like Qualcomm, who have literally made billions of dollars on just, you know, making sure that they were the first ones who thought of this standardization, and they keep getting royalties and, you know, billions of dollars because they are the pioneers in these standards. And every time a new wave comes, and as you know, billions and billions of people use cell phone and wireless technology, and whoever adopts this in their device has to pay that royalty. In fact, now people are getting smart and they want to counter sue Qualcomm and make sure they don't have a monopoly and all kinds of things. But remember, they had the first wave, and this is an excellent example how you can get an edge, if that answers the question.
Oh, yes, I think that answers the question perfectly. I'm just waiting to see if Soumya has come back. Okay. So there is another question here, which actually starts off by asking that gaming is a stream that is bringing people closer to technology. Oh, absolutely. I mean, ask me at home. So now, and the question goes on to say that this resource is more available to men than women. I'm not getting the context of the second part, but I'll move on to the question. How could these subtle differences affect women in STEM, and what can we do about it? Now, I do not think it does affect, is my response. And I'm going to request Komal to quickly talk about what do we do to encourage young girls to pick up STEM. What are the programs that we have?
Yeah, so we have a lot of programs. There is one program which is Go IT, which is a global program where we encourage girls, children, both boys and girls, to pick up technology. You know, it helps you in making an app, and they can learn technology through gaming. I mean, it's a game, and it's designing a software. So that is one program, and we also have two programs here in India. Again, that teaches you coding and aspects related to coding in the schools. So that's how it inspires the girls to take up technology related.
Thank you. Soumya, I can see you are back. So yeah, we are waiting to hear from you. Secret mantra.
Yeah, so sorry. I mean, we're going through some storms here, and we're losing.
No worries, can understand.
So first of all, I think you know, Anita did cover about you know, being passionate. See, I would say this. You know, go do what is right for you. That is what I mean. If you have to you know, go out of your comfort zone and do it, just go do it. But do what is passionate, what you are passionate about. That is one thing very, very important. Second thing is, there will be challenges all through every step of the way. Have that grit, have that, be bold, be courageous, never give up. There could be people that could poke you at every stage, right? People that could discourage you, or one failure could, you know, could demotivate you. Let it not bring you down. Let it go, take you towards the goal that you've already set yourself for. That is very, very, very important. In my view, you know, that is probably the most important thing, because your team is looking up to you. You know, if you sulk, you're done, right? That is very important. Have that grit. Third is empathize with yourself, because very often, empathize with yourself and with your team. Very often we do so many things to our teams. They may not remember us for all that, but they will remember us for one thing, the way that we took care of them. That is very, very important. But more importantly, they have to see you do yourself, you do take care of yourself, empathize with yourself, right? That is equally important. So these are my 3 mantras, Sujata. I hope that helps the kids.
Oh, yes, it does. And as I said, it's helping everybody in this panel, irrespective of age and gender. Now, we are at the end of this session, and I want to go back to something which I had mentioned at the beginning. Anita, do you have any special announcement or any awards which is going to await those who are participating in this Startup Summit or those who are participating in the hackathon? There are a lot of questions asking about, do they get a chance to work with you in some way?
Yes, so one of the things, especially the people who participated in the YHAC event, the hackathon, and then you would have met and interacted with our Rapid Lab, specialists and innovators, Reshmi and Robin. So there is a award for a select few based on the results of the hackathon, who can get to intern in our Rapid Labs and other labs too, right? So I think I hope most of you win, right? I don't know how many awards are going to be given out, but believe me, it's an experience. I mean, there are people who are working on all kinds of tech, immersive robotics, there are all kinds of cool things people have done, noses to smell using AI, and robots who will talk in someone else's voice. All those cool things are there. So you will have fun, you will enjoy. So I hope even those who don't win, try, and I'm sure TCS will offer internships to you at some point. As Soumya pointed out, I also said, perseverance is key. You will definitely, get to work in your dream and your passion area at any point, right?
Thank you. On that wonderful note and encouragement and incentive to all the participants of YHAC and everybody else who's joined here, good wishes. Go ahead, conquer the world. And if you have asked more questions which we haven't been able to answer, you can send them to the organizers. We've run out of time today, but we'll definitely love to hear from you and share more experiences. Thank you so much. And of course, a very big thank you to all my dear friends and colleagues who are on this panel. Thank you. You've taken your time out. You've spent time coming in, logging in, answering questions, and with everything else that goes on with work from home, balance the other things, which I'm sure are waiting for you now. Thanks a lot. Over to the organizers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Sujata.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujata. Thank you.
And thank you to the organizers too. It was wonderful being here, and thank you for the opportunity.
So I would like to thank the eminent speakers of TCS, taking their time out of the busy schedule to engage with us, with young minds and aspiring entrepreneurs. So thank you so much. Hopefully, during the next summit also, we can have host a similar session as well. So thank you, participants. See you all tomorrow for the Women Startup Summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.